Welcome to my podcast, Chat with Loki. It's about sharing stories of grit, resilience, wisdom from unseen, unheard, everyday heroes of life. Hi, Rowena. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Lockie.
Welcome to Chat with Loki. Could you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Hello, my name is Rowena Jane. I'm 51 years old and I was born in Brisbane, Queensland. And I have three siblings, or two sisters and a stepbrother.
Yeah.
And I live in Sydney currently, and I've lived all over the world. And I came from a performing arts background, and I moved into all the healing work that I do now. Mm-hmm. And I just absolutely am a very passionate human being. I love humanity. I love serving people. I love helping people. I love watching the underdog grow. Okay. And I try to be as adventurous as I can in my life, and I just love to connect from the heart with people.
Nice. Really nice. Performing arts.
Yes.
So isn't it something where you end up in film and television?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Because I was a stage performer mostly. I did do some Home and Away and a few other bits and pieces. I did.
Okay. Tell us about Home and Away. What was your role?
Oh God, no! It was just a small role.
Doesn't matter.
And there was a scene. Gosh, I'm talking a long time ago.
Yeah.
There was a scene where there was drugs in the school in Home and Away.
Okay.
And I was a student at the school, and I was being interviewed about this whole drug scene.
By police or
by the police and by I think it was the principal of the school. I mean, it was 30 years ago or something like this, you know.
So you're the one taking drugs? No?
No, definitely not.
No, okay. Okay.
But yeah, that was a little stint I did. I did a lot of stage stuff, though. That was my biggest thing, being in front of a live audience.
How old were you at that time?
Gosh, maybe I was 24 or something like that, perhaps. Maybe I was even earlier than that.
Okay,
But I looked so young. I look young for my age, and back then I looked like a little kid.
Okay.
So I had this thing, but I had this uniform. They gave me the uniform, and I remember it being like literally so short that I couldn't sit down the whole time we were filming. But yeah.
So how was that experience?
The Home and Away?
Like the filming, you being there, like is it a one-day thing or a half-a-day thing?
No, that was a couple of days, that particular thing. I mean, I did about other things as well. It's fun. You get to be, you know, behind the scenes. You get to meet everybody else, all the different actors and things like that, you know. Yeah. It was just good experience, you know. It was also good fill-in work in between all the other things that I did, you know, as an actor. Sometimes you're in work and other times it's dry, and so you just take all the work you can, and it's experience and it's meeting people and connecting, you know.
True, yeah.
So yeah, I loved it.
Where was it shot?
It was shot at Macquarie University, actually, that particular scene that I did. Yeah. I remember I took the bus and it took me like nearly 3 hours to get there because I was leaving too far. It's better be worth it.
Yeah, okay. Macquarie University, okay. So that's where your acting career ended?
No, gosh, my acting career actually ended. I'd gone back to do more acting. I'd do an acting degree at Ensemble Acting Studios in Northern Beaches, North Shore in Sydney. And at the time I actually had an eating disorder. And so I finished my 3-year acting degree, and then we had 6 months before the graduation, and I never graduated. I had to heal myself. I ended up in hospital because I had a bleeding colon at the eating disorder, got really bad, and I ended up with a bleeding colon. And so I was rushed to hospital, and the first thought that came into my mind when I was in hospital was, oh, thank God, now I've got a reason to leave the performing arts industry. It was a shock to myself, but I realised I had been unhappy in that industry for a long time, you know. So, it took me to a whole new journey.
Is this eating disorder happen like gradually, or how did that come into
I
life?
think it had always been there on some level.
Yeah.
I have a book called The Joy of Real Food, and it is actually my journey of
Yeah,
my
yeah.
eating disorder and everything that I did to change my life. And
Yeah.
I remember there was a very strong moment because I had a very abusive, violent, alcoholic father. He's not alive anymore. And there was a memory where he had come home really drunk, and he was, it's hard to listen to this, but he was beating my mum up, and I remember my mum throwing us into the kitchen, saying, "Just go in there and eat." And so I remember writing in my book, this is a pattern that started for me. I feel like that moment was telling me, whenever you're stressed, whenever you're going through problems, go and eat. Because I was a binge eater, and then I'd starve. But I look at also, there was times when I was young and my parents would be fighting, and I would steal money from my mum's wallet because we didn't have money. I'd go and steal 50 cents and go to the shops and buy lollies, because I was trying to escape the pain, and that became my escape for a long time.
Yeah.
And I really struggled for about 10 years with it. A lot of shame. A lot of shame. I remember feeling like an alcoholic, like my dad was an alcoholic, and I felt like I was just as bad as my dad. It's a hidden thing. You hide behind closed doors. You don't eat in front of people. You hide your eating, and then you binge, and then you starve, and then you binge, and then you starve, and it's this roller coaster life. It's
So it's
not fun.
It's a long. So it wasn't something sudden. It just all the things accumulated.
No,
Yeah.
it accumulated, and I think there were certain times where there's triggers,
Yeah.
and I felt like, definitely relationships were always a big trigger for me around eating. And just whenever I didn't feel good, or if I'd go for an audition and I didn't get it, then I'd go and binge eat, or but when I started to heal, that changed.
Okay. So was it your idea to go into performing arts, or is it?
Yeah.
That was your
It was
idea.
my childhood passion.
Passion.
And my dream. Sometimes I think I used to love to play dress-ups, and I used to love to play, like shops, or lots of role plays as a child.
Yeah.
And I think that was me trying to escape my life, like let's live in another world.
Yeah.
So I do believe part of me going into that performing world was because I could go into a dream.
Yes.
I could go into a dream world. Life was great in there.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, as the eating disorder progressed and all the challenges in our dysfunctional family happened, I think then the profession as well, because it's a professional profession, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's not about just being free to be you. There's a lot of expectation, there's a lot of pressure. So I think all of that took away the joy of the performing for me, But as a child, I just loved it, and I think that's what led me there. And then ballet was a huge passion as a child. I just loved to dance. I loved it.
Nice.
So it led me there.
So you're born in Brisbane, or somewhere near to Brisbane?
I was born in Brisbane in the 1974 floods.
Oh,
So yeah.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, some of my friends were born in the same month, and they had to go to the hospital in a boat, instead of driving in the car. But I did get to drive. Apparently my mum still drove to the hospital. But yeah, it was around the time that the floods were on.
Okay. So how long you stayed in Brisbane before moving to Sydney?
I moved when I was 20.
20.
Yeah,
So your first 20 years is
in
in
Brisbane.
in almost
Yeah.
tropical weather
Yeah.
and floods.
I love the heat. Yeah.
You love the heat?
I love the heat.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I moved to Sydney when I was 20.
Yeah.
And I studied performing arts. That was my first
that's
year with
your-
David
oh,
Atkins.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the entry. I auditioned and I got in and I moved.
Did you stay with your parents for that first 20 years?
I did.
You
Yeah,
did?
I did.
Okay,
Yeah. My
and-
dad was gone, but my mum was there, and then my stepfather came in when I was 7 years old. Oh, sorry, grade 7.
So how long your dad was there?
When did he leave our lives? Maybe when I was around grade 5 or grade 6. I think they got separated
So
grade
10,
4 or something. I was
Is
young. I
ele-
started school
10,
when I was
11?
3.
Oh, 3.
So I was a bit younger. I started school when I was 3. Yeah. Back then in Queensland, if you're born in January or February,
Yeah.
you could start school a year early.
Yes.
And I already started a year early anyway, so I was really young.
Yeah.
I don't think I was quite ready, to be honest.
So it would be 6, 7,
Yeah.
something?
Something like that. Maybe it was 7 or 8. Yeah.
7 or 8,
Yeah.
okay. And before that time, like before you became, you turned to preteens, can you think of one joyful moment with your mother and with your father?
Whoa, okay. And the image just came to mind. We were on the patio. We had this brick house and we had the patio, and my mum put these big white paper out, and we were just hand painting and splashing and and I just remember it was all over us.
No occasion, just simply.
No, I think it was just my mum was quite creative. She was someone that didn't really do quite mainstream things with us. She gave us creative things. Like, that's something that I really loved about her. She gave us a lot of different things to explore.
And your siblings?
My siblings, I have an older sister called Jodie. I have a younger sister called Rebecca.
Okay.
And we're all a year and a half apart, so
okay,
very
so
close.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
So you all stayed together.
We were all
until
my
you
dad.
left. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my dad left, and then my sisters went off and went off, and they just live still in Brisbane. Oh, my younger sister actually lives in Mooloolaba now.
Okay. Even though you mentioned about your dad, unfortunate situation, was there any moment as a kid where, I don't know, you felt like it's joyful?
This is a hard one for me. I remember going to my therapist actually about this, saying I don't have any good memories of him. And then I did have this memory that came up, and for some people this might not seem like a great joyful memory, but I just remember there was a connection in the car. It's the silliest memory.
Yeah.
But he used to work in a church as well, which is challenging for me because there's a hypocrisy there.
Yeah.
He's religious, but then he was also this drunk alcoholic.
What's his role in the church?
He was one of the altar boys that did the incense. It was an Anglican church, and he did the incense.
Yeah.
But there was just this moment. It's a silly thing, but I just remember we were just in the car, and I just remember I had a purse, and I said, I'm going to give the 50 cents today to the church, and he just said, that's really sweet of you. It was just a really beautiful moment. That's really one of the only great moments I have that I can remember.
Okay. That's great. It's,
I was always so scared of him,
Probably you have seen the animal nature in human rather than the other side.
It's funny you say the animal nature. I try to have so much compassion for him, When he died, I really felt for him. I actually felt for him.
Yeah.
Like, he caused a lot of pain to our lives.
Yeah.
At the same time, that man was struggling,
Yes.
Like, I'm crying. He was struggling.
Yeah.
And we're so lucky now. We've got so much avenue of healing work,
Yes.
and there's so much more openness around looking at our emotions and looking at all the things that are here for us to work through our stuff. Whereas in those days, there was so much stigma around healing.
Yes.
It's like you're going to go in the white coat and go into the psych hospital, So you can understand why they didn't reach out for help.
Yeah.
And I really try to feel like I do chanting, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and my chanting leader, she taught me Kumud. I met her, she's Indian, and I met her, and she told me whenever people are horrible, it's because they're unhappy. And that helped me when he passed away, to have that compassion. He just didn't know how to get the help, you know. And I'm lucky because I get to change that generational issue, and I've worked so much on my stuff so that I can be different than what he was, So there's a gift in that. There's such a gift in that. So
you, as a family, went to church every Sunday?
No. The ironies of life. My mum never went. Yeah. My dad really went to church. I don't know that he even went to church. I didn't even get baptised till I was 4.
Okay.
I was a 4-year-old getting... So I don't think
we forgot something. Let's do this.
I remember I got baptised at the same time as my younger sister, and there's all babies, and I'm like, this little girl, this little, toddler, what the hell? Because I think he must have had some shaky faith. And then I think when my mum and dad got separated, that's when he really went into the church. So again, I think he was trying to find a way to heal, you know? So yeah, we had to go to church every Sunday that he had us. We'd only ever see him on a Sunday. Yeah. And then we'd come home again. There was never there were some overnight stuff, and that's when some not so great stuff happened. But really, it was just Sunday visits, and we'd go to church, and I absolutely hated it. Oh. I really felt like I rejected God. It's only just this year that I've really started to... I couldn't even say the word God or Holy Spirit or anything, because I remember standing in the pew one day and we had to sing, and then my dad had been so drunk and so horrible the night before and so scary, and here he was, walking down the hall, putting the incense and that big, cross, and I'm thinking, what the hell is this? Is a lie. God is a lie. That's why I've had that belief for a long time, and it's changed a lot thanks to Paramhansa Yogananda. He's really helped me, change that. Because I know the understanding, the concept that we are one. I understand the concept that I am God and God is me, but I really couldn't deal with that word.
Yeah, that was more the performing arts back in the day. Two versions.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's, and also you made a good point. Now it's easy to talk about healing, trauma, all those things, because there's a lot of awareness on mental health. There's a lot of awareness on some of the unresolved things we have gone through childhood and all those things. But in 70s, probably that would be not even considered as a conversation. It's almost like, okay, whatever darkness or devil you're going through, you have to sync with alcohol, or there's some escape which is not really dealing with the problem. So yeah, it's unfortunate. And you started still seeing like every 2 weeks, or what was the arrangement after moving, once your father moved on?
Yeah, so we saw him most Sundays, and then he would just sometimes not show up. I'd assume that he'd gone out drinking or something the night before. I don't really know. I never would speak up back then. Nowadays I'd go, where are you? Where were you? Why didn't you come? But back then I was walking on eggshells. I was very hyper-vigilant as a child, always afraid I was going to get in trouble. Tony Robbins has a thing in his program called Date with Destiny, and he talks about your primary question, and I really explored that. And my primary question was, what if I get it wrong? Like, that drove my life. Like, what if I get it wrong? Because if I get it wrong, I'm going to get in trouble. So I was always afraid of him. But then I never would ask him, but he just wouldn't show up, and he'd make a lot of empty promises, and, I'd be out the front waiting and waiting. I remember I used to pace back and forth, just waiting for him to show up. And Mum and Dad would be like, he's not, that's my stepdad is my dad, and they'd say, he's not going to come, he's not coming, Rowena. But I still had this like little girl hope, come on, I just want my daddy to come, But he never would come. So the arrangement changed, he just disappeared. And when I got to grade 7, I never saw him after that. And then, when I was in grade 8 or 9, he then tried to sue my mother for being a bad mother, and he wanted custody over us. But by then I was 15, I think it was 14, 15, and we were able to then make that decision ourselves, which was really challenging to have to stand in the court. We didn't go to court, it was like pre-court because it got settled outside of court. But having to say to him, I don't want to live with you because you're an alcoholic and I'm scared of you, it was one of the most terrifying things I've ever had to do, and I felt so guilty. Like, how can I be doing this to my own father? But then also look what had...
What happened to you with your sisters at that time?
They were also going through a lot of, I think, obviously it's their personal journey, and I don't want to share too much about what they've gone through, but my take on it, my emotional reality on it, is that we all did struggle with food. Yeah. And there's a lot of research. Dr. Doreen Virtue used to do a lot of research on eating disorders, and I studied with her a little bit and worked with her for a little bit, and she has a lot of research where she talks about alcoholic children of alcoholic, especially women of alcoholic fathers, often will turn to food. So yeah, so I saw elements of that in both of my sisters. So I think they've struggled. You know, my other sister has chronic fatigue. You know, my other sister had her things going on. You know, she had a lot of insecurity problems, and she's great. She's got very strong.
It had its own impact on everyone.
Had its impact.
Yeah.
Had its impact on all of us. You know.
Wow.
You know, it's you know, as they say, trauma isn't the situation, it's the adaptation. It's how your nervous system is adapting to the situation that's happened. And if at the time you haven't had, you know, consoling, or you haven't been able to deal with it or express it, those emotions get trapped in the body. You know, they say issues in the tissues. And so...
Sorry, you need to slow down.
Sorry. That's my brain going...
There is issues in the tissues.
Issues in the tissues.
And trauma is adaptation of the situation.
Yeah. Because the organism is just trying to survive, right? We're an organism.
The cells, yeah.
Yeah. And so we adapt. We adapt to cope.
Yes.
And that adaptation can be hypervigilance. That adaptation could be addiction. That adaptation could be people-pleasing. That adaptation could be no boundaries. That adaptation could be a million different things. And, so that's why it shows up sometimes years later.
Yes, yeah.
You know, people don't realise at the time of the event, sometimes they say it takes at least 9 months before the adaptation starts to even begin to show up.
Wow.
So, you know, you can go for years and years and be okay, and then all of a sudden someone or something triggers you. I've just got this memory of listening to Deepak Chopra one time, and he was saying about this man who had a drug addiction, and they did work with him. And then 20 years later he was on the train, and something triggered him on the train, and he went back to the drugs. You know, 20 years after being sober, you know. So we carry everything in our body. So if we don't work on it, it's going to show up somewhere, you know, and maybe in a dysfunctional way more likely than anything, you know.
And your relationship with your mom is stable?
It took a long time.
Oh, it took a long time. Oh, jeez.
Well, honestly, I really held a lot of resentment towards her. Some of it conscious and some of it unconscious.
Is it something to do with being a rebel teenager or something else?
No. My mum left my dad at one point. And this is my emotional reality. We all have different stories.
Yeah.
My sister has a slightly different memory of it than I do.
Yeah.
But my mum took my younger sister. One day my dad had been horrendous, and this is when I was about, I don't even remember now, 9, 6, 7, I don't know, the time's
really
I
young,
forget.
Really young.
I was young, and she took my sister, my younger sister, and said she's the only one worth taking. That's my story of it. That's what I remember. Whether that's the truth or not the truth, because we remember 7% of information, but that's the emotional reality that I've carried. That's been trauma for me around that situation, that I'm not enough, someone's going to leave, no one's ever going to stay. And so I think there's been an underlying resentment for that. Yeah. And there was also, you know, my mum has her own trauma, intergenerational trauma, you know, and it's unhealed. And I love it a bit, you know. It's taken me a long time to accept her. Last year she flatlined and she came back to life. This was just like literally a week before my thesis was due, childhood trauma. And in that moment when I flew to Brisbane to see her, and, you know, she was just so fragile. And because she came back to life, they said she wasn't going to make it. And she did. And when I saw her, I don't know, everything just dissolved. All this anger at her just dissolved. I just thought, how can I be carrying this anymore? Why am I carrying this? Who's this serving? Like, you've done this much work on yourself, and yet this person you still can't forgive.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we're not the closest, but we're building it. And, and that's really beautiful that now I'm 51 and I'm building this relationship with somebody, you know? And I can see it's
never
beautiful
late
for her. No, it's never too late.
Yeah.
It's never too late, you know?
Well, 2 weeks before my father passed away, still my relationship with my father wasn't great. The pressure of the eldest son to follow the path scripted, which I haven't followed. So there's a lot of resentment and all those things happened. But absolutely, you're right. It's never too late. So what do you think happened at that time? What was your inner voice?
I just saw how fragile she was, and I don't know. I thought I can't carry this anymore.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because my psych degree, because I went back and did a graduate diploma of psychotherapy, and I was just about to graduate.
Yeah.
And the whole journey for me was really about the inner critic.
Yeah.
And that inner critic for me, my mum was my inner critic. But then, of course, it's my responsibility. I became the inner critic for myself. I didn't need her to do it. I was doing it myself.
Yeah.
And so really I feel like it was just so miraculous that whole entire final cycle, and we'd just done this exercise where we had this thing where we'd done the life myth exercise. In psychotherapy, we have all these exercises that we do. And it was the life myth exercise. And from that exercise, it really gave me my journey of my life. And I was like, oh, wow. And I had this big insight. And then I built this log cabin as part of the process.
Yeah.
And I said, please don't put it in the fire because it's my log cabin, it's my stability, it's my sanctuary. Like that's what it represented to me. And then we were about to do this other process where I had to be the psych. And all of a sudden I looked and I was like, oh my God, someone's put this thing in the fire. And I lost it. I was like shaking. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And the teacher took over and we ended up in this massive process. And it took me through the inner critic because I was criticising myself. Oh my God, they're going to think I'm ridiculous, like I'm overreacting. All this thing was in my head. And then all of a sudden it all came out that I thought, I guess the metaphor for my mother was a troll. And so we did this exercise and somehow I just stood above the troll and said, no, I'm the adult now. You can't scare me anymore.
Yeah.
And so I think that was also part of that process. And then when I saw her, it was just time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's easy. You can't just forgive someone like that. You have to go through the process of it. And I think people get very confused about forgiveness because the acts of forgiveness, the acts that have happened can be really challenging, horrendous, painful, hurtful. And so people often think, well, if I forgive that person, I'm having to forgive what they did. And I don't think it's about that. Forgiveness is freedom for yourself to finally let it go and put it to rest, And look, it took me nearly 52 years to do mine. So I think it's also having patience for yourself and compassion and not forcing it.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to kind of bypass people and say, oh, you should forgive and you should do this. But it's people's own process. We have to really respect the timing of things.
Yeah. So what one advice you would give to people, especially in their 20s or early teens or late teens, where they see one of the parent in an escape mode, or one of the parent is disconnected because they're going through their own internal generational, whatever it is. Is there something they can, instead of waiting for 50 years, can they do something?
Yeah, there's lots of different things out that you can do. It's working on yourself.
Yeah.
The irony is it's actually working on yourself when you change your own, because in some ways there's a marginalisation or there's a mirroring. Not necessarily that everything's a mirror. However, there are components, like everyone's our teacher, so when someone's doing something that we don't like, there's something in that, even if it's just 1% in what they're doing, that we can then turn around and use for our own healing, our own benefit. And then that changes the energy as well between the two people. And look, sometimes you do have to walk away. Like I'm not saying that you have to put up with stuff all the time. I'm not saying that. However, there's, it's called in one of the techniques that I use in my clinic is neuro-emotional technique. And we talk about how we have neuro-emotional complexes. Yeah. And so it's our own complex in some way, because the way that person is, if someone's neglecting their child, for example, that's impacting and creating an imprint on you. So if you start working on you, you're going to be building your confidence. You're going to be letting go of all that stuff, and then eventually that'll move somewhere else. Yeah. And communication, not always it's possible, but communication is also really important. and often there is no communicating with the
whom?
person
With
and expressing how
parents?
you feel. Yeah.
So
And it doesn't always work, but sometimes we don't communicate at all.
Yeah.
I think it's learning. We're not taught in school how to really communicate.
Yeah.
We're not taught in school how to live. We're not taught in school how to survive the challenges of life, really.
Yeah.
So I think it's just sometimes the most simple things, and making sure that you do have a support person, and there is a figure in your life that perhaps if you're not getting that, I've got a lot of what I call mothers out there. I've got a beautiful Indian mother, and I call her my mother, and she became such a mother figure to me. So I think even if you're not getting that need, because we have to have our needs met, that love and connection, if you're not getting it from your family, where else can you get it? Who can be a mentor or a caregiver?
So if the parents, so let's say if the younger person is not able to communicate, or the parents are not able to give space to them because they're busy with their own things, whether one is making money, the other one is dealing with whatever the situation is, they're busy with life. That's where I feel there is a lot of younger generation feeling loneliness in their own way because they're not able to have that connection and communication you're talking about. And that's really taking them to go and look for something else. And that's where the social media or the wrong influences also are appearing in the life.
Correct.
How do they find the mother you found? How do they find, is it, I know you don't go and start searching, but...
She just showed up. But then I had done a lot of work on myself, and I think it's also finding a peer group. They say the top 5 people you hang around with will influence you. So it's finding people that will influence you in a positive way. There are so many youth groups, and there's so many different community things that are happening that are free, that are out there. Looking up community events and finding other people, or even having a confidant. And as I said, maybe there's a friend's parent and you feel safe to speak with them.
Yeah.
It's going to be different for everybody.
Of course, yeah.
But sometimes people don't even realise that there's anything really going on. I know in my family, it wasn't until I was years later when I started to struggle with my eating disorder that I actually realised that I'd actually come from a dysfunctional family. Even though to someone else it'd be so obvious, hello, father drunk, that's obvious. But no, it wasn't obvious. That's what I thought was family life.
Yeah.
And I never questioned it as a child. I mean, I knew it wasn't good and I didn't feel good, and I was scared and all that, but I still wasn't talked about.
Yeah.
So I think that's, again, goes back to the communication, sharing, discussing, talking. I mean, there's so many things now out there that youth groups and all kinds of places that people can go.
There's more options now compared to 30, 40 years ago. And when did your stepdad enter your life?
When I was in grade 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was only a couple of years after.
Yeah.
My mum, it's ironic here. My mum had actually dated my stepfather's brother before she married my father. How's this? And then she just happened to, and my stepdad used to drive my mum home.
Okay.
Because she would go and visit the family.
Yeah.
And the mother would say, please go and drive Judy home. So he would drive her home. And then years later they ran into each other and then they just had this connection. He's a beautiful human being.
Sorry, you're talking like your stepdad is actually brother of your dad?
No, he's the brother. So my mum dated a man before she met my birth father. And that man is my stepfather's brother. But yeah, years later, they just ran into each other. And then that was it. My stepdad started entering our life. I remember we were driving to a picnic and I'm in the back car like being so cheeky, like, fucking my tongue out. And he said to me the other day, I'll never forget that little cheeky girl. I kind of fell in love with that little girl. Like,
so what when he came in, what was the change you noticed as a kid?
It was like a gift to our lives, I remember my sister, we went on this picnic and my sister felt, we were like, you know when you get the cardboard and you ride
Yeah,
the
yeah.
cardboard down the hill?
Yeah.
And my sister hurt herself. And so he got his handkerchief and he ripped it. Like, I was like, this is a hero. He ripped it and he put it on her and he was like, making sure she was okay. I was going, my God, who is this man?
Yep.
And then because we didn't have much money as a child, you know, my mum would make, like, if we wanted to have an ice cream or something, we couldn't afford it, so we'd have an ice block. You know, those super duper ice blocks? They're like 7 cents or something when I was a kid. But we would have to share one. All three of us would share, you know, a little bit each.
The one in the... yeah.
And we went to the swimming pool and this man said, well, we can all have an ice cream. I said, oh, okay, I'll have the cola super duper. And he goes, no, I mean an ice cream. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you can all have your own ice cream. And it was this chocolate cone. I was like, I'm in heaven. So like as a kid, you know, as a young girl, that was like, wow, we get to have this with this man. That was just, but you know what? He just was caring.
Yeah.
He was caring. And
So as a kid, the simplest things you're looking for came
gave
back.
Yeah.
Or you know, you started to experience. It's like, as a kid, that's the big deal, having an ice cream.
It is.
It's like for them, oh, you know, there's million people dying. It doesn't matter.
What the
I
ice
just need to get this ice cream. That's when my day is good.
But no, he was more than the ice cream, obviously. He just
Yeah.
was such a beautiful person and just someone that cared and someone that was really consistent
Okay.
and started to, you know, I mean, we had our challenges during
Of course,
teenage
yeah,
years.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. But also he was going through a lot of pain in his back when we were teenagers. So he was in a lot of pain. So he got a little bit grumpy a lot. I didn't like him during my teenage years. But you know, I'm very close to him. He is
Yeah.
more than a father to me, you know.
So with him, you felt like that family came together?
Yeah, I have a bond with him.
Yeah.
Family. We started to have a family.
Okay.
You know, we did family holidays. We did do family holidays a couple of times with my dad, but they weren't very good family holidays. You know, he would take off and never come back, and we'd have to get back to find our way back from the Gold Coast to Brisbane ourselves. And you know, like little. Whereas this was like, wow, we're going camping and we're staying in these nice places, and yeah. So I started to have a family. You know, I believe that one door shuts and another one opens, and that's what he was to our lives.
I know it's hard to express these things in words. Just take a moment and try to express what was this feeling of being back as a family after going through all the things in you know, dysfunctional, not having great
The
experience.
word that's coming to mind actually is safety.
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 Wow. And same with your. It's
And love.
the safety, but in the safetiness, you felt freedom as well. You started to be the kid.
Yeah. Yeah, it was safe to play.
Yeah.
Safe to play, and I just felt love.
Yeah. So it continued from that until you got back to Sydney?
My dad, you mean?
Stepdad.
The stepdad?
Yeah.
We're very close.
Nice.
I'm really close with him.
Yeah.
I'm really close with him. I mean, I don't see him enough because they're in Brisbane, but
Yeah.
I'm very close with him. I just adore him, and I know there's a mutual feeling. You
Yeah,
know? He
yeah, yeah.
understands me.
Yeah.
He understands me. He doesn't always understand my life and my choices and things like that, but he tries to, you know?
Yeah.
And he doesn't try to knock me down or, you know. And so, yeah, he's...
No, it's okay. Sometimes it's the things we do for the previous generation that's really new. And I said a couple of times to a few members in my family, because they saw some of these posts on Insta somewhere, and they said, oh, he's on this, he's saying things. And I said, this is called podcast. I said, podcast? Why do you do that?
Wow.
I said, it's something I want to do. And they're like, why? Why do you need to do that? Don't you have a job?
This is the modern day job, Dad. Yeah, different generations.
Different
right?
generation. Anything you do apart from doctor, engineer, or accountant.
Especially Indian
Yes,
family.
Indian family.
That's said with respect. I don't
Yeah,
mean that
yeah.
disrespectfully at all, but
No,
yeah.
yeah, like I'm the example.
Yeah.
It's like I said, oh, I'm writing a book. I said, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you was the first. I'm doing something called podcast. I'm like, why? So it's for them. It's really challenging because when you're the first person in the family doing it, if you come from a media or if you come from like for example, me becoming a doctor
Yeah.
wouldn't be a natural thing. It's okay. Dad is a doctor, and it's what is this guy talking about? So no, it's beautiful because I think only you would know what you have experienced and the change with that first 6 to 7 years, and then after 12 to 24 months, and then your stepdad coming into your lives, and suddenly seeing that change,
Yeah.
that feeling safety. I guess with safety there's security. Suddenly you felt like I don't need to think about anything else. I can just be myself. And now it's beautiful. And then, okay, it seems like now you're in Sydney.
Yeah.
How did all this transform your Brisbane life? And suddenly now you're in Sydney. Even though you're in the same country, there's subtle differences.
It was my dancing that led me here, my performing.
Yeah.
So I was at uni and I was studying acting, but it wasn't an acting degree. It was a Bachelor of Arts drama at UQ in Queensland, and I just was like, nah, this isn't me. I need to be on the stage. I need to be dancing and stuff. So I decided to audition for David Atkin's performing arts course that was in Sydney.
Yeah.
I also auditioned for the dance degree at QUT Uni as well, and I got into both. But I wanted to come to Sydney and do the performing arts because we studied everything, every kind of dance, acting, singing, acrobatics. Like it was just like this dream.
Wow.
So that's what led me here. When I was 20, I moved here,
Yeah.
and I did that there was just a 1-year course, and they were developing a 3-year course, but then he went into producing, so he didn't do it. But it was amazing. One of the best times of my life. And then I was in Sydney, and of course you just stay and you get an agent and you start working and in the industry and travelled all over the world and doing all sorts of different shows and this and that. And
How long
there was
this
a lot
continued?
of trauma during that time. Sorry?
How long was this journey of performing arts, travel, agent?
It was about 10 years. I always say I think I change my career every 10 years.
Okay,
it was
so
about
you
10
started
years.
this in early 20s,
Yeah.
and you went until early 30s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did you travel?
Oh, we went to Singapore, Malaysia. I went to London. I went to, where else did we go? I think that was most of it.
Most of it,
It was all over Australia. A lot of gigs all over Australia. Is there somewhere else? I was supposed to go to Japan, but I ended up going. Did I say Thailand? Not Thailand as in like Pat Pong. But no, we did a show in Thailand. I think that's it for performing, but I've travelled from all my other work as well.
Up to 20 and 20 to 30, like now it seems like a complete different lifestyle.
Yeah. Very
Suddenly you're traveling. Suddenly someone's representing you. Suddenly you're going and performing. What did that feel?
It was amazing. It was amazing on one level, and as I said, because I was struggling with trauma, I had a lot of self-doubt. I had a lot of insecurity. I had a lot of... I was scared I was going to get it wrong, remember? So auditions were like hell for me.
Yeah.
But then when I was on stage, once I knew the show, I knew myself enough that if I could just get the routine in and know the routine, I could dance my life away.
Okay. Tell me one audition which went beyond your expectation, and tell me another audition failed miserable.
Okay. The best audition was Joseph Techno Dreamcolor.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'd been working in a bar the night before because I was, as you do as a performer, you work all the gigs.
Yep.
And it was 1 o'clock in the morning. I finished work and had this audition at 9 a.m. or something. And I thought, I can't be bothered going. This is going to be like, who knows, I'll be in and out, And then for some reason I had this thought in my head. My performing arts teacher, one of my performing arts teachers, Jane Beckett, I remember her telling us a story about this musical that she ended up getting in. And she thought, I was just going to go. I had my whole day planned out. Do the audition, get out of there, go and buy a CD, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, and then I got call back after call back after call. And for some reason, that story came into my mind. So I went, I think I should go to this audition. And I don't know, I just was one of these days where I just had this aliveness in me and I didn't feel fear and I knew the steps and I had this intuition I'm going to get chosen to dance first, and I did, and everyone was cheering me. I just felt like really great.
Yeah.
And then I got call back after call back after call back after call back, and then I ended up not getting the job because they hired all the New Zealand cast instead of another show. However, that was amazing, and Cats
So what
was
were you
similar.
drinking the night before?
I don't know. Maybe it's because I was so tired I didn't care.
Yeah.
I think it was the fact that I'd surrendered. I don't care, whatever. We
So
hold
there was
on
no
so
expectation
tight.
on
Yeah.
yourself. You just simply
I
went
thought,
there.
And then one of my worst auditions, I think my worst audition was, what was that musical? But it was at the Capitol Theatre in Sydney. I can't even remember what the musical was for. And I had a kidney disease at the time, so I was really struggling. And I just turned up and it was horrible. I just couldn't express myself, I got so nervous I couldn't even speak. They were asking me questions and I was like a blubbering mess and I sang okay, but and then I used to beat myself up afterwards. I remember beating myself up so much. And one of the other guys who auditioned, a lot older than me, he was just before and just after me, and he ran into me in the street and he could see that I was in turmoil. And he said, you know what, just take what it is that you've learned, just take the learning from that and use that for the next audition.
Yeah.
And that piece of advice I try to use, in everything I learn. So it is, there's gifts in everything.
Of course,
even when you
course.
miserably fail, it's not really failure, it's feedback.
Yeah.
Right? And it was feedback. But yes, I do remember
Aye,
beating myself up. You're shit, you're so bad, look at you, why would anyone hire you? See, you can't even sing, you're fooling yourself. All the things that my inner critic would tell me.
So to the audience who are listening, it's never a failure. It's always feedback, constructive feedback, simple message, effective.
Yeah.
So while you're going through all these, how is your relationship with your mom and your stepdad and your sisters?
Well, the more I was in Sydney, the less I kind of spoke with them, you know. But my stepdad and I used to talk, I call him my dad. We used to talk a lot on the phone, but I was always a little bit, I never really had, like I said back then, I just didn't have a bond with mum. So it was actually great. I don't have to be around her. I don't have to deal with it. I don't avoid it, push it over there. My older sister and I have, we've got a pretty good bond. We're very different, completely different. She says, I don't understand you, but I do love you, I'm the weird one. I'm the one that does everything
sheep.
I'm the black sheep. I don't live the same way. I don't live a mainstream way. I'm a bit weird. I have ADHD. I'm a little bit woohoo, but that's also the gift of who I am. That's what makes me unique, I guess. They're always in my life, but we're just not, it's not that we go out much. When I go visit, I see them and then I move on and then we do our thing and we'll message every now and then. It's only in the really last few years that I've started to get much closer with them. And my other sister, we don't speak. So, she hasn't spoken to me for a long time. I'm okay with that now. I wasn't for a while, but she's got her choices. She's got her reasons. She doesn't speak to my older sister either. She doesn't really like my stepdad that much. So... that's her journey.
Of course.
That's her journey. I only wish her well. If she ever came to me and said, I need you, I'd be there for her. But I had to learn to let that go. Otherwise it will just keep causing me pain.
So what happens if there's family reunion or coming together?
She won't
show up? Okay.
Yeah. She didn't show up when I went to the hospital to see my mum that day. She had something on.
Wow.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You know, there's little pings and pangs there.
That's a journey to overcome.
Yeah, that's right. And it may never resolve. I don't know. I don't really know. She had periods where she said, I'm willing to forgive you. You know, like when I had rheumatoid arthritis years ago, 'cause I had a lot of illness because of, you know, it's trauma. Autoimmune disease, had rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disease. And they do believe there's a lot of correlation in the research about trauma and autoimmunity. But when I remember first finding out that I had rheumatoid arthritis, I had this flash of my sister, and she was younger than me, and you know, she's the one that my mum took, so there was always a little bit of jealousy because she was the one, not me. And she always had very concrete, stable friendships. She always seemed to have that stability that I couldn't get with friends. I was bullied a lot, I was spat on, I was like, you know. So I used to try to kind of steal her friends, you know.
Yeah.
I wanted to be her, I guess, on some unconscious level.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be accepted the way she was accepted, you know, or my perception of her getting accepted by my mum, you know. And this is all stuff that you understand as you heal. At the time you don't understand this. This is all unconscious stuff that comes to the surface. But yeah, so I can understand why she perhaps, you know, has this vengeance or whatever it is towards me. But I sent her a letter and I said, I'm really sorry. I was a child also struggling. And I must have hurt you by trying to do that.
You sent a written letter?
Yeah.
When was that?
This was years ago. When did I get rheumatoid arthritis? Gosh, times.
Pre-COVID, post-COVID?
Oh, no, years ago.
Oh,
It's like
okay,
maybe
long time
when I
ago.
first started my healing at 28 years ago.
Right, wow, okay.
Yeah, so I sent her a letter and she didn't respond, but she did come to Sydney during the Olympics. Because it was around that time. And then she said, I'm willing to kind of forgive you. And then she spoke to me for a few years and then didn't anymore. Look, she's got her own journey and she has, you know, as I said, she's got chronic fatigue. So she's got her own stuff that she's contending with. And maybe it's just too much for her. I don't know.
Hey, we all have someone in the family. And I'm going through some in my family too. You said something about bullying. The meaning, the form, and the shape of bullying has evolved.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah? What was used to be bullying 30 years ago now shifted, that bullying has shifted in a different shape and form with technology and faceless bullying happening a lot. If you're not comfortable, you don't need to share about what you have experienced as bullying. But what I really like to know is for the young people out there, and then there is adults out there also getting bullied for being authentic, just being themselves. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I can see what you're saying. The keyboard warriors now, they hide
Yes.
behind the screen and there's a lot of, it's not good. When I went through bullying, it was just, I was always good at things because I always put 110% effort into everything, you know?
Yeah.
I have that kind of personality where I don't give up. I'm very determined, very tenacious. I fall down, you kick me down, I'll stand up and keep going. And that's got me through my life. And I don't know whether people were jealous or whatever, but I would win awards. I would win everything. I'd win the running, I'd win this, I'd win that. But I put the effort in. And so people didn't like that. And also, but on the other side, I was also very insecure. You know, I still had, even though my stepdad came in to the scene, I still had all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and my dad was still around in our lives, and there was, there was sexual abuse too. I hadn't talked about any of that stuff. There was a lot of abuse that was going on. So this is just also mirroring that same level of abuse, right? People treat you how you treat yourself and how you've been treated, and you don't understand that until you start working on yourself. And so I think I had attracted. I don't know, I always felt like I didn't have a proper friend. I always felt like I was the outsider. I always felt like I didn't fit in. I was a late developer because I was also younger than everybody. I was scared of men because of what had happened to me as a kid, so I think I just didn't fit in.
Yeah.
And at that time in your life as children, as adolescents, you are wanting to be the same. There's that peer pressure to be the same. And I didn't go smoking. I didn't go drinking. Like, all that wasn't me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but when I used to win all the competitions, I remember people saying, I suppose you think you're so good now because you won. And so then I used to shrink, like, oh no, you know, and then, yeah, I don't know, there was just so many different parts of that bullying. And sometimes they'd be my friends and sometimes they wouldn't,
Yep.
you know. You know, there's always a leader of the pack and then they'll don't
Of
like
course,
you for a
yeah.
moment and then everyone hates you and then, you know, it's just a lot of that for me. And then I just remember one time they all spat on me. It was horrible. I can laugh about it now, but yeah.
Well,
we
it's,
can be horrible as human beings sometimes, you know.
Hey, we have a culture of tall poppy syndrome,
We do.
and that's an adult expression. But one thing also I noticed is there's a beautiful proverb. Everyone wants the view, but no one wants to climb the mountain. And the one who is climbing the mountain is where the stones are thrown at.
Yeah, it's true though.
It is.
It's true.
And it happened to me, and it's still happening to me. But what all you're trying to do is you're just taking one step at a time. You're working. There's effort into it and all those things. And especially when the closed ones, friends, family, and when they're the ones who are throwing stones at you, that hits you in a different way.
It's true. It's true.
The smallest stone hurts you the biggest, and nobody throws it the biggest stone feels nothing.
It's true. It's true. I think I hear this a lot with my clients, is that because I work a lot with self-doubt and you know, with my clients as well, and self-esteem and often I hear, you know, depending on what work they're doing or whatever, they often say that they're more afraid of the people close to them judging them than they are of, like, you know, they say, I can just get on stage or whatever, for example, and speak to people I don't know and I feel more comfortable than just in my own family. And I resonate with that, you know,
Yeah.
because it's that judgment of the people that are close to you
Yeah.
that are going to hurt you the most, you know?
Yeah. So what kind of message for people who are facing different type of bullying now, like as you said before, keyboard warriors or the outcast ones, black sheeps, the ones who are just, you know, they didn't have a traditional friendship, they're not popular girl or popular boy, they're the ones always see life differently because suddenly they're not part of the script.
Yeah, I have a lot of clients like this. A lot of my adolescent clients are like this, you know, and you got to turn the other cheek. You do. You have to actually turn the other cheek, so to speak, and not take it on as It's learning not to take things personally, because it's not ever personal. It's a projection of their own stuff. And when you understand that, you can start to disconnect and disassociate from it being about you.
Could you please explain what does that mean by showing the other cheek?
Turning the other cheek?
Yeah, because coming from Indian background, a lot of people attribute this to Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi, because he brought independence in the path of peace, not non-violence.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's where this expression is linked with. But what does that mean here?
That's what it kind of means here too. And it's doing things that are going to build your confidence, your self-esteem, so that you cannot be reactive to it. Because the thing is, when we're reactive, everything gets stirred up, right? There's a fight. I used to say to my yoga students, you know, if you've got two kids in a schoolyard and one is going at the other one, if the other one turns away, there's no fight. There's no energy. You're not bringing the energy to it. But as human beings, I got to say that, and I got to say that, and I got to say that, and I got to say that. But turning the other cheek is not reacting. And it's a process to sometimes be able to do that. As I said, you've got to build your own self-strength, your own self-esteem, your own self-power. And that's doing the work to work on that, you know, whether it's doing incantations every day, whether it's doing healing work where you're actually clearing the pain of when they do that to you so that it doesn't bother you as much. In neuroemotional technique, this is a really amazing technique for this kind of thing because whatever we're triggered by, as I said, it's our own neuroemotional complex on some level, And it usually relates to something that doesn't even relate to what's going on now. But we will muscle test and find out, okay, what's going on with this person? What's going on? Okay, whatever this situation is right now, it's in your stomach, Chinese medicine system, in your stomach. Okay, the emotions of stomach is low self-esteem, for example. There's a whole lot of different ones. Low self-esteem. Okay, how do you put low self-esteem with this and that together? And then they'll speak about it, and then we'll go, okay, let's go back in time and see where this similar thing happened before. And there'll be always a memory, and we clear that memory of something that was similar, and all of a sudden they're not triggered by this thing anymore or this person anymore. It's profound. And so you're letting go, throwing the pebble out, so to speak, or the potato off the back of potatoes that you're carrying for your baggage. Yeah. And you go, okay, I'll throw that potato. Obviously, this is a very layman's way of putting it. And then you're just no longer triggered.
No, I like that.
And then you're not reactive.
You're carrying 50 kilos of potatoes and just throwing one potato at a time.
Lightens the load.
In 50 days... bang, it's gone.
You get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too is a spiritual practice, and that spiritual practice is different to everyone. Spiritualism is different to everyone, but spiritualism is self-realization, right? For me, my yoga practice has been the biggest gift. It's been in my life 22 years formally, and that's the place I go to. You know, whenever something's going on, I'll go to my mat and I'll practice.
I'll come to your practices. I want to still focus on bullying.
Okay.
So what you're saying is the best way to deal with bullying, whether it's in person or online or faceless, the best response is to ignore.
Yeah. Don't take it personally.
Don't take it personally, not ignore.
Don't read the comments is even better. If they're on Facebook, do not read them.
Yeah.
Do not read them.
Just in case you read it, thinking it would be positive. And you say, nah, this person doesn't understand my journey. Ignore, or just, move on, continue with your mission, whatever, you're trying to take the step.
Yeah.
So it's similar to the elephant doesn't stop to the barking dogs. Mm-hmm. We see that in India, we see that a lot.
Okay. The barking dogs?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I know. I lived there. I was surrounded by 25 of them one night. Ah!
Exactly. So there's more street dogs in India. I don't know these days. These days, I'm pretty sure it's a different.
No, it's still the same.
It's still the same.
Last time I was there anyway.
Okay. And where I come from in South India, there's actually elephants walking on the road. When I was a kid, I saw this many times. And the elephant is going to the temple. Like this one guy is taking the elephant, and then the dogs and all these other ones are like barking like crazy. The elephant never stops. Or an elephant never even gives 1 second of attention. Just keeps going.
Yeah.
And for me, that's big inspiration. When someone tries to put me down, I just say, oh yeah, I have seen these dogs when I was a kid. It's just my way of ignoring the noise.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, for some people that can be tricky to do. But everything's conditioning. So whatever you practice, you're going to get better at, right? Just like you ride a bike.
Yeah.
First you fall over.
Yeah.
Or when we first learn to walk,
yeah.
we just keep getting up as babies, and then one day we figure it out. We're a bit at first.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other exercises people can do. I'm just thinking like in process work psychotherapy, which is what I studied, we would say, okay, what's the disturbing energy of that? And we'd get a big thing of crayons, draw the disturbing energy. You're not drawing a picture. It might be a picture, but what's the disturbing energy of that? And you get it out on page, and then you start to realize it's not actually what you think is disturbing you. And we start exploring that. There's another exercise that's just coming to mind that I find really powerful with relationship dynamics. It's called the pipe cleaner exercise, because we use pipe cleaners. And the person will think about the situation that's happening right now. That's the challenging situation. And I'll say, okay, pick out of all these pipe cleaners that I have, some of them are sparkly, they're all different colours. Pick a pipe cleaner that resonates with that energy of that challenge.
Yeah.
And they'll grab one. I'm like, okay, just let it turn into something. And they'll make a shape or whatever it might be. Okay, put that aside. Then I'll say, okay, now think about what you want now to be different. You can't change another person.
Okay.
You can't control another person. But what would you want to be different? How would you want to see yourself different or your life different about this situation? Pick another pipe cleaner. They'll pick it and then they'll create a little whatever, shape, whatever, and put them aside. Then I'll take them to a little grounding exercise, the earth spot. And then they'll be in this sort of a dream. We call it the dream body. So we're actually trying to access not the conscious neocortex. We're trying to access the dream body, which is the unconscious.
Yeah.
And then, so they're in that little bit more of a dreamy state. Then I'll pick up the 2 pipe cleaners, put them in their hands. And then I'll say, okay, now, is there anything one of these pipe cleaners need to say to each other? And it is profound. All of a sudden there's this understanding or awareness of actually how they need to be. And sometimes it is that, oh my God, I just got to walk away. Other times they actually know I need to say something, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. It's profound. It's so simple, like a little baby toy that you're playing with pipe cleaners, yet it's the awareness because you've accessed your unconscious mind. And that is your deepest wisdom and guide of where to go and how to handle things, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's some of the things I do with clients as well.
Nice,
You know,
nice.
simple but really powerful.
Okay, now in your early 30s, what happened next?
Early 30s. Oh gosh, I was working on the cruise ship then. Oh,
Cruise ship?
Yeah. I've been like an adventure, I told you. Traveled
Where
the
did
whole
this
world.
cruise ship come from?
Yeah, so after the eating disorder, after I ended up in hospital,
Yeah.
so I had the bleeding colon and I was in hospital, and I said that I realised I have to leave performing. And I had studied remedial massage and aromatherapy and all that stuff as well while I was doing my acting and performing. So I had that skill. And I was doing a little bit of that at the time, and I was working for just a normal job. You know, Zurich Insurance is my first normal job I ever had. Sorry, I should be giving them a plug.
Insurance?
Well, I was just a PA while I was doing my acting degree. So I was just working there just for the time. And then I started exploring lots of different, you know, healings, this, that, you know. And when I was in hospital, when I came out of hospital, that's when I found the yoga. And that literally was a turning point for me. And I knew after day 3 I was going to be a teacher of yoga. I just knew. I was praying, what's my purpose? And then this sign, someone called out my name on the street, and I was looking around. Because when I was in hospital, I'd heard this voice saying, they said to me, you've got Crohn's disease, which I didn't end up having, but they said, we think you've got Crohn's disease. And I heard this voice inside say, you don't have Crohn's disease. This is your wake-up.
So could you explain what that disease means?
Crohn's disease is a very inflammatory disease of the colon, causes a lot of bleeding, very, very challenging disease.
That's
for
the
people.
reason you thought you ended up in the hospital?
The hospital was because, my colon was bleeding.
Yes.
So they rushed me to hospital, and then they came around and they said to me, we think you have Crohn's disease. And then I heard this voice say, no, you don't have Crohn's disease. This is your wake-up call. You get to change your life now. So I'd been on the path of trying to heal, but this was the biggest catalyst.
Okay, you're still in hospital.
I'm in hospital.
You're in your hospital
this
bed
voice.
and you hear the voice.
Yeah.
What was the time?
It was nighttime, but I don't know the time. I just know it was nighttime. I didn't have a watch. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's nighttime, and
There was 2 interns
that's your
with the
third day.
doctor.
That's third day in the
I
hospital.
think it was second day.
Second day, and they've done the test, whatever it is, and that's the night. You hear an inner voice or whatever.
I heard at the moment they said to me, you have Crohn's disease. There was 2 interns and there was a doctor.
Yeah.
They still had more tests to run. They said, we have to run more tests, but we think you've got Crohn's disease. And that's
Okay.
when I heard this voice. No, you don't.
Oh.
You don't have Crohn's disease. Oh, Sarah, there's a voice in my own head from somewhere.
okay.
God,
Okay.
spirit,
So there's-
universe, whatever you want to call it.
There's 3 people.
There was an intervention somewhere
Oh,
happening.
okay, I get it now. So there's 3 people, as usual, with their intellectual skills. They said this is the most likely cause you ended up here.
Yeah.
And someone intelligent voice said, nah, that's BS. Don't believe in it.
Basically. And I
Okay.
believed in that voice. For some reason, it sounded like the one I wanted to listen to. So I listened. And it said, this is your chance to really, really, really change your life. And so I got out of hospital. And while I was in hospital, I was married
This
at
is
the
in
time.
Sydney?
This is in Sydney. I was married at the time. My husband at the time came to visit me.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, by the way, we have to move out of our place in Mossman. I'm like, oh my God, all that's happening all at the same time. Anyway, he said, don't worry, I'm going to sort it. I'm going to find a place for us. He was badly looking, for places to live. So it wasn't that much longer. We moved out and we moved to a different place called Lane Cove. And so basically, I've lost my train of thought. Sorry.
No, you heard that voice, and then.
Yeah, so I found yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's right. So I took a day off work
Yeah.
because I just really wasn't feeling great. So I just took a day off work, went to the doctor to get the medical certificate, and that's when I was praying.
Yeah.
Hey, what is my life? What is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
Okay, if I'm supposed not to be acting anymore,
Yeah.
what the hell am I supposed to be doing? And then I heard that same voice in hospital. Someone called my name, right? I heard my name, and I was looking. I don't even know anyone in this suburb.
Yeah.
And then I heard this voice say, "Look up." It was the same voice from hospital. So I went, looked up, and there was this big sign, and it said Bikram Yoga.
Yeah.
I think it was Lane Cove at the time. It's called Northside. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So I just knew I had to go to that yoga class. And that yoga class I went to, there was one within an hour. I went in there, and I have never felt so alive in my life. I felt like oh my God, something changed inside of me in that class.
Tell me what you did. I know a little bit about Bikram yoga.
Yeah.
Just for the audience, in simplistic way, what was your first experience of doing that yoga?
I felt like I was back in my performing arts degree where we did a foundation class, and I realised now it was very much yoga based, and that was my favourite part of the whole training. And I felt like, I'm back here again. I'm doing this amazing technical stuff that I just loved. And I was connecting to myself again, and I felt energy, and I felt it's the focus, particularly Bikram, it really you need to focus. You're in a hot room, it's challenging.
Yeah.
And you have to focus so much that you just, all the external noise goes away because you have to focus to get through that class.
You're sweating like a pig at that time.
I
What
love
else?
it. Remember, I was born in Brisbane in the hot floods, remember? I love it. So that's basically, and I knew within 3 days of doing that class, because I went every day for the first 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, I went after that straight away all the time, but I knew I had to become a teacher. I just knew. And so that's how I ended up on the ship, because I was looking for an avenue to earn the money to pay for the teacher training. And along came this job. And you know what? I really believe if you want something and you're very clear on what you want, the universe conspires for you and finds it.
Beautiful.
And all the synchronicity starts showing up. That's what happened. And then, so
Sorry.
back to the ship.
What was the job?
Oh, the job on the ship?
Yeah.
Oh, I was in the spa, Canyon Ranch Spa on the ship. So I worked with 25 Australians and 25 South Africans. That was 50 of us.
What cruise is that?
It was the Queen Mary 2. It was the opening.
Oh, the big one.
Ship.
Yeah.
We were on the grand maiden voyage, the maiden year. I did the maiden year.
Yeah.
So that ship was a gift because it gave me all my money,
Yeah.
but it was also where all my trauma came up again. It was challenging for a lot of us on that ship.
How long you stayed in the?
8 months, about a year or that.
Almost a year. Huh?
And you love it and hate it because you love the travel.
Yeah.
It's incredible, one day you're in Norway, next day you're in, I don't know,
Yeah.
Colombia, next day you're in the Barbados.
Yeah.
Amazing. But the job is hard. You're working 14, 15, 16-hour days. Mind you, I seem to do that sometimes now anyway. But, it was just hard work and there was not a lot of support. And because the ship had just been built, the food was horrendous for the staff. All the focus was on the passengers, which is great. But you do have to take care of your staff.
Because it's not 1 or 2 days. It's
That's right.
it's a long time.
It's forever. And you're living in these little cabins,
Yeah.
I mean, we were lucky because we were petty officer status. So we were able to go out on the decks and things like that, thank goodness. So it was amazing, but also it really brought up a lot of trauma.
So you did yoga and then you ended up in the cruise. Mm-hmm. What happened to moving the house and husband?
Yeah.
I haven't forgotten your comment.
I know, I saw your eyes go, husband? Oh, look, he's the most beautiful human being. I met him in Singapore when I was on tour in a show.
Yeah.
Beautiful human being, just such a great person. Everyone loved him, real people person, We were just so different. You marry people when you're young and you don't really know who you are. I didn't even know who I was when I met him. We parted ways. But when I was on the ship, we were still kind of together.
You both?
Yeah, but I just went, no, he stayed and I went. And people were like, why would you let your wife go? I'm like, why wouldn't you? Because I'm such a free spirit. I'm like, why would my marriage stop me from living my purpose? What? Like, I couldn't understand it. But, I guess you kind of understand, well, there's a compromise with marriage, perhaps, So, look, we started, once I found the yoga, we were really kind of going
Drifting,
in that direction. I found a very different purpose for my life, But we were still together for quite a few years. It was after my teacher training, we were still together. It was a year after that we split. We're still amicable, it's fine. It was a very amicable marriage. We hugged each other. Divorce, we hugged each other. And he goes, oh, we could always get married again if we wanted to. Like, that was it. It was very easy. Very easy. So I'm very blessed, We still talk once in a while. He's gone back to Singapore now, but yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
That was my journey with my husband. But I was on the ship and I got off, and that's when my life really took off, I think, in many ways.
Yeah.
The yoga was such an amazing platform for me to grow myself, and I just flourished in that yoga community.
So you can call, basically, if I have to put chapter 1 and chapter 2.
Yeah.
Chapter 1 is until you ended up in the hospital. And chapter 2 started with your Bikram yoga.
Yeah.
Because that opened up to, I can
What I
say,
do
where you are today. Yeah, okay.
It was the start of it. It was the
Start of
segue,
it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. I just kept going from strength to strength in that community. I loved teaching. Even my acting degree gave me so much insight, because in acting you're focusing on human beings, right? You're learning about human beings. What actions do they play? What do they play to get what they want? All this that we learnt in method acting. And then, so I used a lot of that with my teaching, and I just absolutely thrived. And then I just kept getting asked to go back to the teacher training. I was working on the teacher trainings. I became part of the staff. And that's where I ended up in India, because I was asked to go and open
Now
the
you ended
first-
up in India.
Yeah. I told you I travelled everywhere.
Okay, so what year is this now?
Well, because Bikram said to me, I was living in Canada at the time.
Sorry, when you say Bikram, the guy Bikram?
Yeah, good Bikram, the man, yes.
The man, the founder.
I worked on the teacher training staff. So I
Okay,
I just kept getting asked to come back and back and back, and then...
Can I I want to clear some
Okay.
air here, okay? Bikram used to be a good brand and all those things.
Yeah, it's a
but there was a lot of sexual harassment and all these things, which I'm not sure exactly when, but maybe pre-COVID time or sometime, it became a global news.
Yeah.
And then it started to fall apart. And then again, few people like you who really believed in that practice are keeping it alive.
Yeah.
So just comment on that before we go into the next step.
It's a tough one. I was personally very much connected to him.
Where was he based?
Between India and LA. He was living in
time?
LA.
Yeah.
So the trainings were in LA.
Yeah.
And then we started moving the trainings to Hawaii and Mexico, where I was working with him.
Yeah.
And that's when he said, okay, now go to India, but I was in Canada first. Look, I was his PA, and I was the second head of education at the last training that I worked on. It's so hard because he's been such a teacher for me.
So what's your relationship with him? At
the time, it was very close. He was like a father figure to me.
Thank you for listening, Chat with Loki. Follow and subscribe for more wisdom from everyday heroes.